Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Super Sub Podcast. As usual, your host, Harish and Narv. Um, we're recording this right after all the Premier League games. Uh, this episode will be just purely a Premier League roundup, talk about the games uh, across the league this weekend. And of course, as usual, we will start with our Super Sub of the week. Narv, I'll let you go first.
I will say my super sub of um the week is gonna be um Bobby Reed, Divock Bobby Reed for Leicester. Um we'll touch on the game as we go on later on, but um came on as a sub uh late in the game and ended up getting a equalizer, a much needed uh point for Leicester, who are kind of battling that relegation battle.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Um, that was a pretty epic comeback. My super sub for this week was from the latest game, Malo Gusto. Uh, I thought today was one of Caicedo's weakest games, and he was getting absolutely cooked by Sonny out wide throughout the game, and there was just a lot of panic in our back line, but Malo Gusto came on at half, and I think we really were much more solidified, cut down on errors, looked more composed in the back. He really just changed the game. We did have to sacrifice. It was odd. We took out Lavia, who was our best player in the first half, but I do think Bistro completely changed the game.
Yep, I'd agree with that. Kind of shut down Sunny.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that game as well. But let's just start kind of in order of the games. So first, there were an array of games in the, I think, 10 o'clock window. 7:30's game did get canceled, Liverpool Everton. I know we were looking forward to that. Woke up and about 15 minutes before kickoff, and I saw it was canceled, and I said, let me get some more sleep. uh, but yeah, let's start with Villa Southampton. I didn't really watch much of this game, so I'll let you kind of hear this preview.
I'll say for this game, it was pretty one-sided. I know the score line only shows it as 1-0, but honestly, Villa pretty much dominated the game and had most of the chances. Um, Villa's expected goals, as you're a fan of that stat, was 2.29 versus Southampton's only 0.33. Um, and Villa had five pretty big chances that were missed. Um, but I think the story of this game, and I think we kind of talked about it a little bit during the previous pod, was um, do we see Unai giving Duran a start just because Watkins has been a little off form this season? So Duran got the start and he got the goal for Villa. Watkins did come on as a sub, but when he did come on, he had two really good chances, and both he kind of squandered them. So uh, I think Watkins still trying to get a goal there to build up his confidence.
Yeah, a lot of the commentary I was saying after this game was, yeah, Villa kind of looks in control of the game, but and it's probably like good they're back on track kind of, but they still didn't create much like clear cut chances. Um, and I guess they're still not the same team that we saw last year in that fun, exciting team. And then to your point as well, when Ollie Watkins came on, a lot of commentators were like, "Wow, his confidence might be at like a rock bottom," and he seemed very indecisive at key moments as well. Did you feel like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe him. Because I know he had one chance where he was through on goal, and it was that indecisiveness that kicked in, and he didn't know whether he should square it to his teammate, but then ended up like taking an extra touch, and by the time he took the extra touch, his chance was already gone. Um, Whereas
Hmm.
last year we would see him when he was at his like best and fully confident, just putting putting even like the most difficult chances away. So um, he's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum this year.
In midweek, they have a pretty tough game in the Champions League with Leipzig as well. And again, like these games, it just feels, uh, especially for a team like Villa, they're coming thick and thin. And we spoke preseason, like yeah, they kind of do look like they have a not an A and B team, but like they have a lot of depth. But Unai's not really making much of a rotation. He's kind of figuring out like attacking wise what can maybe work a little better, but uh, he's not rotating as much as I thought he would.
Yeah, and he has the availability to rotate. I feel like they have the squad depth, but um, and just from what we've seen with Unai when he's managed other teams in La Liga, once it comes to cup European Cup competitions, he kind of puts a lot of emphasis on those.
Hmm. And then to Southampton, I mean that's five straight losses now. And then I mean I'm expecting another loss next game against Tottenham as well. So not looking great for Russell Martin.
Not at all. I think last year's Sheffield was like the one of the worst teams I've seen in the league in a while, but this Southampton team might top that.
All right, moving on to the next game. Let's go to Brentford, Newcastle. Uh, this was one of the more exciting games. I'll be honest, a lot of the games this weekend was actually really exciting and entertaining. Um, and I think this one was another one that uh, meets that criteria. And Brentford, ended up pulling a win. I thought it was fairly even as well, but Brentford did end up winning. Uh, I love their chant too. Hey dude, na 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 na, Brentford. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Worcester scored a banger. He was part of our potential best 11 outside the top six. In Guemo, was he in our top 11, starting 11?
And
Yeah,
yeah, he made it.
he made it. Yeah,
hmm
Worcester did not. I'll have to post on our Instagram our starting 11. I still haven't done that.
Wissa
But
definitely made our bench though, for sure.
yeah,
He's gonna be the first one off the bench.
what were your main takeaways from this game?
Um, Main takeaways were just Brentford again at home. They're a complete different side. Um, really good. And Newcastle, I thought they were a bit sloppy. They had a lot of misplaced passes, kind of creating their own downfall, and giving Brentford chances like off their own mistakes. So it was a bit sloppy like that. I think it was Wiss's goal where Harvey Barnes just poor pass,
Yeah,
and Brentford just capitalized.
the Brentford as well. They're scary at home. I think they have the best home field advantage. How do I phrase it? I guess the home record. But they do look completely different when they're at home versus when they're traveling. And so right now they're sitting ninth in the table, goal differential three, with 23 points. But if we kind of break it down by home versus away, Brentford's the best team at home. Their goal differential is 12, which is the best out of any Premier League team. Um, and they've also collected 22 points uh, out of the 23 points at home. which is crazy. Uh,
That's insane. Yeah.
and then if we move to like their away matches, they played 7 games and they've only picked up 1 point uh, in their away matches with a -9 forward differential. Um, so they're definitely a strong team at home and no easy task to kind of play them at their ground.
Yeah, I think if if they could definitely improve on their form, away form, they could sit a lot higher in the table. Um, and then another player want to give a shout out to this game. We've kind of talked about him off the podcast, but Kevin Kevin
Shade.
Shade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was pronounced Shade.
Yeah, I thought it
But
was Shade too, but the commentators kept saying Sade, so I was
yeah.
like, what? But I know we always mentioned how like his pace is insane. And I think you were telling me he might be one of the fastest in the league.
Hmm.
Um, but his final product was so poor, but like now it's a few running games where he's been getting on the score sheet. So if he kind of continues that, that's a scary sight.
Yeah, completely agree. He's still got to work a little more on his finishing still, I think. But I mean, even at in the Bundesliga uh, for Freiburg, like he would be in dangerous situations, like same story, but his finishing hasn't been improved. Um, and so we'll see now. Maybe this is kind of the boost he needed because it was he came on like at a pretty important time as well to kind of secure the win. Because at that point, I think they were up 3-2 when he came on, and like
Mhm.
Newcastle were still kind of pushing forward, but like getting that fourth goal kind of ended it.
Yeah, that was a nice finish, but that was even a nicer assist by Mbeumo.
Hmm. Um, and then to your point about Newcastle causing their own issues as well, Harvey Barnes did get that second goal, but he kind of cost them
Mhm.
from his mistake. Um, what do you think about him starting over Anthony Gordon in this one?
I don't mind it just because Harvey Barnes, I mean, he always brings a dangerous element about him. Whenever he plays, he could have had another assist, but Jacob Murphy kind of mistimed his header.
Hmm.
Um, I think Anthony Gordon's had just a slight dip of form, but I don't think he should have been dropped to the bench. Um, I think it should be Anthony Gordon now on the right, and then Harvey Barnes on the left, Jacob Murphy off
Hmm.
the bench. But I
Yeah, I
guess Eddie
thought
House saw something different.
yeah, Anthony Gordon was definitely causing some trouble to that Brentford back line when he came on.
Hmm.
Uh, and someone else I wanted to kind of touch on is Livramento. I know we've harped on kind of the Newcastle uh, wingbacks, both Chelsea products as well, but Livramento, man, he looked pretty poor this game. Same with Fabian here. I thought they both looked pretty poor. So that's I think back-to-back games where Livermento's been kind of exposed. I know Liverpool's a tough ass, but he's getting cooked out there last week as well. So that might be a point of concern. When he played Chelsea as well, another strong attacking team, he was the one getting cooked and targeted the entire game. And I know Trippier, you called it like because I thought he'd be kind of a penciled in starter, but he's barely seen the pitch.
Yeah, I when I saw Trippier come on, I completely forgot he was still on on the squad. But
And he was the captain last year too, right?
hmm
Like when he played.
I don't know. I feel like yeah, Livramento, he didn't have a good game. I thought Lewis Hall struggled a bit too, but granted, it was matched up against Buemo.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think Livramento, he's definitely he still has a little bit of work in progress to kind of because I think Lewis Hall, he's kind of proven himself to be in the England squad, whereas
Hmm.
Livramento, I think he still needs work to do to be in that level.
But it probably also speaks. because Newcastle, I mean, we all know their back line's pretty solid.
Mhm.
Um, but they've always kind of struggled with the top teams this year. But it probably just speaks to Brentford's, class as well. Uh, and I mean, we have to give a round of applause to Thomas Frank and what he's done with this set of players.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I think a lot of people doubted Brentford for numerous seasons now. Every time, kind of have him in the relegation zone, but Thomas Frank just yeah, he's tactical genius. What do you what are your thoughts on Tonali kind of coming off the bench? I feel like I feel like Tonali should be kind of like a solidified starter.
Yeah, I feel like the balance they have with Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton and Finale is pretty good, and they seem to have good chemistry. Um, but I feel like, yeah, I agree. Finale, his class, I feel like you can't drop him.
Hmm. Like I feel like
But
Longstaff, I mean, he's another player that he can make impact off the bench, but starting over Tonali, I don't know if I
mhm.
agree with that.
Especially with these like players like Finale, you can't just bring him on for 15. I don't know. He came on for 15 minutes maybe, and it's hard to like really get into the game such a fast pace. Uh,
Exactly.
so player like him, I feel like you should start him. And then next we can move into Palace City. Uh, this was the game I was excited for. And I think I called it that the Palace were going to steal point here,
Yeah,
and
you called that.
they
Hmm.
ended up tying 2-2 with City. But and I think that was a fair result, a tie. Yeah, City like absolutely dominated possession, but they always kind of do that. Uh, but Palace looked comfortable defending against City and all that pressure, or against all that possession. Uh, and then I thought the goal by Rico Lewis, that was an amazing finish. And that was kind of the glimpse we've seen of Man City, that build up where I think De Bruyne flipped into Bernardo Silva and kind of made this run to kind of drag another defender out, and then or made a center back step up, and Silva kind of just flipped to Rico Lewis. Uh, and like that type of creativity you haven't really seen from City. It's a lot of just back and forth, try to get service to Holland crosses. But you have a lot of quality like, technical players like De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. So I think they do look much different with De Bruyne, a much more elevated team.
What was your thoughts on the Rico Lewis sending off? I didn't think that was a foul.
On Chalaba,
Yeah, and that was
yeah, like thinking about it right now, I kind of forget how it happened or like how that red happened, but I think
he
at the
kind of
time of
reached he kind of reached for the ball like lunged in, but Chalaba kind of stepped on top of Rico Lewis. Um, but it was like a second yellow, so it didn't go to VAR. So I thought it
yeah,
was the incorrect decision.
yeah, right now I have a hard time like remembering what happened, like or how it looked. But I think at the time of watching, it was like I think it was like a toss up for me. I definitely don't think it would be a straight red, but like a second yellow, I think I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense.
I thought that was a little bit of a game changer just because City seemed to be picking up a little bit of momentum after that Rico Lewis goal. Um,
Yeah, the momentum definitely shifted once he got that red. Um, but I don't know. I City or Palace still looks fairly comfortable defending. And I thought like that back line, uh, especially Chalaba, he's looked solid for Palace this year.
he slid in well. Him and that new signing, LaCroix,
Hmm.
he's looked good. he got his first goal for Palace, but that was poor defending by Man City in that corner. I think it was
Hmm.
Walker who like completely lost them. Free header.
Props to City though for making a comeback because they were down 1-0 and then they were down 2-1, were able to come back. And when they were down 1-0, I was like, uh-oh, here we go. Kind
It was
of,
early.
it was early. And then even when they went down 2-1, I was like, uh-oh, like City's but like for them to like mentally get over that hump and grab a point, which is crazy that we're talking like that right now, with City, but like still, like it's a huge mental thing instead of like just kind of completely falling off to actually like fight and get a point. I thought that uh, somewhat respectable. But Pep was absolutely rattled after that Liverpool game when he went to, I think, a hotel or something. There was a Liverpool fan asking for the autograph, and he just like ignored him. Liverpool fan made a comment. He's just like, just because you lost or something. And Pep was ready to fight him on the streets, dude.
I
He was
haven't
like,
seen that.
he was legit getting held back by like assistant coaches and his security. I don't even know, but like getting held. He's like, you want me to sign it? You want me to sign it? And he was like about to fight the dude.
Oh, geez.
Dude, it was wild.
Yeah, this
Pep
city
absolutely.
downfall is crazy. It's just crazy to think because like even as of last season, majority, I mean, we would all consider City as like one of the best teams in Europe. So like just going from like one of the best teams in Europe to now just being so vulnerable like week after week is crazy.
Yeah, especially were both goals scored off of corners as well? I forget.
No, one was
Yeah,
Palace's first goal. Yeah, that was a nice
that's
pass
right.
by Will Hughes. I was like, oh, I didn't know you had that in your locker.
Yeah, and then Kyle Walker, he looked pretty weak in that corner save against. Like he didn't even.
That's another player. I don't know if it's the age or what, but like his decline is like it just seems quick, like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he looked poor. This is uh yeah, he looked poor, but on the other spectrum, um, props to Bordio. I thought he came back a little stronger this time, especially after being dropped. Uh, he, like how he looked pretty good still. You'd think that would hurt his confidence, but he seems okay.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised that Pep is. I know he got the assist, but surprised that he's still sticking with Mateus Nunes out there in the left.
Yeah, this was definitely Nunes' better games for City, but still not his like ideal position.
Exactly.
But I think now City have dropped to what are they on the table? Let's see. Uh, they're sitting in fourth with 27 points. Uh, Currently 8 points behind Liverpool, even though Liverpool have only played a game less. Uh, so I don't know. It's usually at this stage is when City are kind of at their prime. Uh, December time for before it's like City kind of always start really slow. They try to figure out their best 11. Mm, They're kind of giving other teams head start or whatever, but then they like by December they're kind of clicking. But definitely a different story this year.
Yeah, I know last season December came around. I think it was like a 13 game unbeaten run that
Hmm.
pretty much propelled them to the title.
And then let's move on to the last game on Saturday was your boys, Manchester United
Oh
versus
gosh.
Nottingham. I'll give a quick summary on like who scored and stuff, and then you can kind of give your thoughts first. But uh, started off as a banger, Milinkovic powering header, uh, first like 3 minutes, and then Hoyland had a equalizer, um, this goofy celebration, and then Gibbs White. And then the second half, Gibbs White had surprising goal that just like got through Onana somehow, and then Chris Wood had it was a very impressive header to get it on target, especially like he really was like is way behind him, and for him to loop it over was impressive, but still think it was a fairly weak goal to concede. Um, and then Bruno scored. That was a beautiful strike, but when he after he scored, I was like, "Ooh, I think Manchester might get an equalizer." But Nottingham, especially with Nottingham throwing in multiple defenders and parking the bus, you guys were definitely kind of ending the game on the strong foot. But uh, in my view, I think y'all were unlucky to lose this game. I think definitely should have gotten at least a point. Uh, but this was like the beauty of what you talk about with result or kind of the progress or performance over just results. This was like a perfect example where you guys didn't get the result, but I think are headed in the right direction.
Yeah, this one, uh, we saw a little bit of the I think this starting 11 is a bit what we'll probably see going forward. Um, Lenny Euro making his debut, but this was another game where yeah, we got a better performance. But it was frustrating in terms of conceding from like very basic mistakes. The game versus Arsenal midweek, we conceded, I think it was like 12, 13 corners, and they got two goals off the corners, but they could have had multiple goals off corners. So I thought coming into this weekend, I was like, I don't care if we concede, but I don't want to see us concede a corner. And then funny enough, the first goal we concede is just a easy, easy corner free header. I don't know why we had Lissandro
He's the
marking one of the
smallest dude on
biggest.
the pitch. Yeah.
Exactly. I had no clue why we did that. And then second goal we conceded. Yeah, it was bad goalkeeping by Onana, but started with unfortunately Bruno, poor pass, um, kind of giving it right away to Forrest. Um, and then that third
And I
goal.
think real quick on another point on that second goal, I think it was a mistake from multiple players. One was Bruno, one was Onana, and then another I think were your center backs as well, because no one stepped out really to close Gibbs White. He was given days to do it, to scribble down
Mhm.
and kind of set up a shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So mistakes all around there.
And then the third goal, I thought Lenny Euro had a pretty good game, but I mean, Lenny Euro, he's not a small guy. Um he's got stature, height, but got Chris Wood just made him look like a small body. And then I don't know, Lissandro Martinez, I thought he could have cleared off the line, honestly. I don't know if he kind of didn't know where he was exactly. Um so three goals that were kind of avoidable. Um and then I have to apologize to you for, I think it was a little bit of United bias, of course, and then also just he was a bit raw, but seeing like him through Serie A, claiming Rasmus Højlund would be a spark over Nicholas Jackson. Um, this brother, man, his movement at times kills me. I know I texted you and was like, I wish Cavani was on the team right now just to kind of teach him about movement, how to make runs, but I don't know. Hoyland,
He's
I
just a
want,
track star.
yeah, I want him to do well and score more because I love this new celebration he got going, the Batista Undertaker hybrid celly.
Bro, he wants to be Victor Gokerish so bad with like a unique celebration, bro. It's just so goofy.
I know, and I think he has the profile to be like a Jokic, like strength, speed, but intelligence wise, like sometimes he just lacks that. And then um I thought again Diallo was probably our best player. Um and then Rashford, he's
Mm,
I've
real
I've
quick
backed
on like the best player, real quick. Sorry to cut you off. I think
no
someone
worries.
that really went under the radar maybe not. But who I think was about Diallo for sure was really good.
Mhm.
But I think Bruno Fernandes, the way he was able to dictate that game and
Yes.
the way he was able to build up plays and not just kind of just try to take it on itself or just make these try to attempt these ridiculous passes. But I thought he looked this was like the best he's looked all year this
Hmm.
game. And I was really surprised that he was taken off because I think he was the best attacking option y'all had on Saturday.
Yeah, I like that point because it's crazy what I've seen on social media. Like a lot of United fans are split on Bruno. Like, and a majority of them, they want Bruno to be dropped eventually as we move forward. But I think Bruno's, yeah, he gave away the goal ultimately, but I think he's like a creative machine. Um, Even when he was dropped a little deeper, he was still creating. So I think Bruno's crucial. Um, but then subs wise, I was disappointed again. I've backed Rashford for so long, but he's just been so disappointing. Um, I really don't see a spot for him on this squad. Maybe the center forward role. Um, and then Xerxes again kind of just woke up and came on a little lackadaisical at times, nonchalant.
He looked pretty poor today or on Saturday.
Yeah. But again, like we mentioned, I think it'll take time for him to build that chemistry. Um, but another player who I thought was pretty decent was Manuel Ugarte. Defensively, he had a quite a good game, kept things simple. Um,
Yeah, I think the past two games have been his best games yet in a Manchester jersey.
and I know we have a Europa League match Thursday versus quite a weak opponent, so hoping we can build some confidence, but then also really get to Amarin's playing style that game versus a weaker side, kind of put our stamp in that match, and then get ready for what I think might be one of the lower quality Manchester derbies we've had in a while, Sunday.
Y'all have a chance to get some points.
Yeah,
Um, and then I thought Hudson-Odoi was kind of quiet uh, for most of the first half, but then started picking up, I think, the last 10 minutes. And to your first point, Diallo being your best player, I thought he helped Euro, Lenny Euro a ton. Uh, I think Hudson-Odoi was kind of exposing Lenny Euro at times and was like getting past him with pace. And uh, I don't know, it might just be because it's Lenny Euro's like first full game, but uh, he was getting kind of exposed at times. I think he looked really poor. I think Delit looked pretty poor as well, but Lenny Euro really stuck out to me for bad performance, and it might just be his first game, like full game starting, and I think Diallo definitely uh not overshadowed, but like uh made his mistakes kind of
kind
disappear.
of masked it. Mm,
Hmm. Exactly.
yeah. What are your thoughts on? Because I'm not a fan of Garnacho on that inverted 10. What are your thoughts on Garnacho? Because I love Garnacho as a player, but it's hard to, I don't know. I feel like Diallo definitely would suit that role more, but he's been playing fantastic out there in the wing back role.
Yeah, I think I agree. Diallo's got more of that finesse, and I think he'd be a little more comfortable in the inverted role. Garnacho's a player I feel like same with Rashford. I think both those players love when they're hugging the touchline a little more. So I think both those players could be better in like a wingback role, but like again, they're not defensive minded players, but they're both players that thrive off of being in the touchline, uh, like hugging the touchline, coming in. Because I mean, Garnacho's right, like, he looked poor in the inverted role, and I think him getting subbed off was the correct decision, although he was pretty upset about that. He really thought he was uh, center of attention there, like Ronaldo. I was like, bro, you're not Ronaldo. But um, he did like his best moments came, for example, that one beautiful cross to Hoyland, where Hoyland
Mhm.
just his run was terrible, came because he was way out wide, and that's where it kind of strides.
Yeah. So hopefully better performances. But we saw a little bit of progress. But we just saw a lot of individual mistakes as well. So
Yeah, I
Onana
do.
being one.
Yeah, I do think y'all were the better team for sure. Just
Mhm.
some mistakes cost y'all.
Yeah.
And then I thought Harry Maguire looked good when he came on over Delit.
I
And
think Harry Maguire might be a starter going forward because he can play that diagonal ball, whereas Delit, he's not as great as playing those long balls.
yeah, I thought Delit might be the guy in that center just because he grew up playing kind of defensive mid, but Maguire looks much more comfortable.
I think so.
But it might just be like a form thing as well.
Mhm.
So that will be an interesting kind of thing we'll see under Emmer, who ultimately kind of solidifies there.
Exactly. Yeah. That'll be interesting. And then I don't know what you're doing in that 90 whatever minute. Like, bro, you wasted almost a damn minute. Like,
Dude, I saw someone make an edit on that where like Tom and Jerry, like the kind of music they play where it's like no words, it's
yeah,
like gray, black and white.
yeah,
They had that over kind of the 45 seconds of Nano was messing with the ball, and that killed me, dude.
yo, I was like, bro, just yeah,
And then he ultimately overhit the bank
yeah, it was terrible
badly.
after all that.
Yeah, that
So,
was yeah. He's been good this year, but that was a pretty poor game he had.
hmm so we'll see. Europa League, hopefully get the dub, and then the Derby, hopefully. I mean, we have a good chance this time around, just how poor City's been. So we'll see.
So if we want to move on to today, um, where to start? Let's start with Bournemouth. Bournemouth, Ipswich. This was a game I also did not really catch. Um, I know that you were watching this one, so I'll let you kind of cover
Yeah,
this
this
segment.
one was a I messed up on my super sub because there's a player on this game where I think he should have been a super sub. Um, but I thought Ipswich had a good game, good game plan that first half. Um, ultimately, Chaplin he got a pretty nice finish in the 21st minute, but again, I think we saw why Areola is highly praised. He made some minor tweaks second half, and Bournemouth they really kind of dominated that second half. Um, and Evan Nielsen, I know he hasn't really been on the score sheet, but he's kind of a player that causes a lot of chaos. And again, Bournemouth they're kind of known for like having super subs, but Otara he didn't get the first goal, but he got like the assist that led to the own goal. Um, or sorry, Unal ended up getting they ended up giving it Unal, so he got an assist, and then um, they got a 95th minute winner by Otara. So it was a pretty epic game, um, pretty entertaining from like a neutral point of view. So Bournemouth, I think now that they got the win, they sit. I think they're still. What are they in the table?
I think they were the top 10. Oh, they moved up to eighth now
Okay.
with 24 points, right above Brentford.
Okay. Yeah, so I think another takeaway was just Bournemouth, their new signing center back, that Housen kid. He I thought Senesi would be a big loss. And I think he is still, but Housen he's filled in pretty nicely these past two games. And then again, um I've been talking about him for a while, but Kirk has I really hope he makes a move to United, top top left back in the league.
Yeah, again, I wasn't able to catch this game, but I was surprised. I thought Bournemouth would uh, kind of dominate Ipswich. Bournemouth's been a team, yeah, they're sitting kind of middle of the table, but um, I think they've been unlucky not to be a little higher in the table. And just looking at today's XGs, I think they had 3.5 versus Ipswich is 1.5. Um, but that's been kind of the story for them this season. Um, they've been able to create a ton of chances, but they just haven't been able to finish those chances. Um, I mean, even prime example was the game against us. They had penalties that they missed, uh, and some other like complete sitters that they missed. Villa, I think they ended up tying, but they should have won that game.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's been a story where they just haven't capitalized. And if we were just to look at like expected goals and goals against,
Yeah.
they would be sitting at second, um, right behind Liverpool, who's
Mhm.
leading, but instead they're sitting at eighth.
And then one last point I wanted to touch on from this game and then also from their season is I know there was a player that we kind of missed on the starting 11, combined 11. Didn't even mention the name was Semenyo.
Mm-hmm.
He's been quite outstanding. Put up another really good performance and was kind of like the creator for that ultimate winner for Bournemouth. So he's been kind of going under the radar as well, I think this year.
I think he's definitely dipped in terms of output, like the number of goals and assists, but he definitely always looks like a threat whenever he's on
Exactly.
the ball.
hmm Yeah, I feel like he's always going to create something. Yeah, whenever he's.
And then moving on to another game during the 9 o'clock window. Let's go into Leicester, Brighton. Uh,
Mm,
this one was a very entertaining game. Uh, you know, Brighton, for the most part, uh, looked like the more dominant team up until I would say like second half. I think is when Leicester definitely started gaining momentum, but uh, ultimately they ended up tying Leicester epic comeback. Uh, they were down 2-0, but Vardy had a finish, and then I thought he was going to grab his second one, but it was very unselfish play and uh, laid it off for Bobby Reed, who finished it in stoppage time.
yeah, that was epic because Brighton, that first half Lamptey, that was crazy finish. But the
Hmm.
second half, it was nice seeing Mente back from injury, missed some time, but he grabbed the goal. I think it was like 82nd, 83rd minute, so it was late in the game. And I thought that was GG for Leicester, but uh, I
And
think
Menta
Bright,
looked really good when he the second goal, and when
yeah.
he came on, he looked good.
hmm But I think the tie is down to the manager again a bit, Fabian Hurstler. I don't know why he played like so. He kept playing so aggressively. I mean, at that point, 2-0, I would just sit back and defend. But he's still like trying to grab another goal, play so aggressive, and that first goal ultimately came off of a Brighton like, or it might have been the second goal. Igor kind of trying to dribble
Hmm.
out, causing their own mistake. So
Yeah, and this was even with the Leicester team without Bendoya. What do you know where he's been?
mm-mm.
Uh, or not Bendoya, bro. What am I talking? Played for Villa.
Bonate.
Buonate. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
because
know.
he, I thought he was Leicester's best player to kind of start the season.
I think he's been hurt because I don't think he's played the last. I didn't think he played the last game either. I think he
Mm,
had a
yeah,
minor injury.
but a standout player for me in this game was Leicester's keeper. Uh, I know we gave him a shout out for potential best 11, but Hermanson, man, he really kept Leicester in the game.
hmm
And thankfully, we finally got to see Frost on the bench, dude. But he still had to make an appearance last 10 minutes.
Hey, he was at least not on the losing end this time around.
Yeah.
Another player who's kind of impressing me a little bit. I wasn't a fan of him because he kind of let me down on Football Manager. But Bilal El Khanous, that Moroccan midfielder, he looked pretty
Yeah, he
good.
looked solid. Yeah. And then move on to, I'm trying to speed up so we can get to this Chelsea game. But we do have to talk about the last game in that window.
I'll let you
Fulham.
touch on this one because I kind of had the Ipswich Bournemouth game on mostly, so I think this was the other game that you kind of had on.
Yeah. Um, so Fulham versus Arsenal. It ended up being 1-1. Um, Fulham grabbed a goal really early on, and Jimenez scored. It was a really nice finish. He did not really have much of an angle, and then Saliba ended up scoring uh, in the second half from a set piece. But again, this comes down to,
Warner Merchants.
yep, them being set piece merchant. They again weren't really creating from open play, um, and a lot of it was just coming from set piece. Thomas Partey again missed another sitter of a header wide open. Um, I don't know how they do it, dude, but they're so dangerous from set pieces. They could have had another two goals from set pieces today. But yep, they dropped some points, and again, they just didn't look great from open play. And uh, Anthony Robinson, he looked pretty good against Saka today. I think this was one of Saka's four games. It was actually a lot of their Arsenal kind of pressure and good play came from the left side for once from Trossard, but Saka looked pretty poor. Odegaard kind of looked quiet today too. He didn't have much of an influence, but uh, yeah, again, Arsenal just not very impressive on attack.
Revenge game for a lot of Fulham players. Leno, Smith Rowe, and
Hmm.
Iwobi. That's cool seeing Robinson getting the captaincy too.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was captain for Fulham,
Yeah, I thought it was Leno the entire time.
but Jimenez, man, shout out to him. When he left Wolves, I was like, because he started struggling, and I was like, man, he's not like has a player in him kind of left, but he really stepped up this year. He grabbed 5 goals for the team, especially being able to keep his position over Muniz, who ended the season last year on a tear, one of the top forwards in the league. But Jimenez is really playing that at his position. Uh, and someone who really annoyed me today was Adam Traore. Dude, so dangerous, and he had so many good opportunities, but just misplaced passes, too many touches. Uh, it was really aggravating because I mean, obviously, I want to see a Arsenal collapse, but
I feel like that's
the
the
way,
story of his career. Like always so dangerous. It's just always the final product lets him down.
mhm.
Man, that's it's kind of funny because it's the one year that City's dropped off. Could be um could have been Arsenal's chance, but they're not helping themselves either.
Yeah, Arsenal thought they had a winner kind of at the end, but uh, it got called back because uh, Martinelli got an assist to Saka, and Martinelli was offside, but they looked very frustrated at the end of the game.
I was just
I'll tell you,
surprised to see Arteta at the end. He was smiling. I thought
yeah,
based
he
on
was
like the
kind of
Arsenal
laughing it off.
documentaries, I was like, oh, Arteta's about to be pissed, but I saw him smile. I was like, oh, that's a surprise.
Documentary,
Huh?
documentaries, the
Yeah.
documentaries.
Oh.
uh, but yeah, Arsenal, man. we said it too. Like, where are they going to get the goals from? They need a proper forward, dude. Havertz is not it.
Also, I don't know, that Jorginho Rice duo. I don't know. It's just like I feel like it's just so heavily reliant on Odegaard and Saka. Um, and like we mentioned, they just like we're not scared. We're not scared
Mhm.
of you, Arsenal, from open play. I mean, set pieces, yeah, we're terrified, but actual open play, not that scared.
You know who I do want to see back in the lineup though? Can make a
For
difference.
Arsenal
Arsenal is Ben White. Um,
over year in Timber.
well, Timber played on the left, and then Thomas Partey played like their right back, and then he was
Hmm.
injured a lot on attacks. But Ben White, like Arsenal's attack would always come from the right side, where they were always most dangerous from the right side. Yes, it's Odegaard and Saka a lot, but someone that kind of I think, is overlooked is Ben White because he would make bombing, selfless runs down the right side. Um, he's not the most technically gifted, but I mean, with his right foot crossing, like he's improved a ton. Um, and he added a lot of goals just from uh, some nice crosses
Hmm.
and the relationship him and Saka had. They were building a pretty strong relationship. But like the way Thomas Partey plays, like no one's really kind of making that overlapping run around Saka.
Hmm.
And I think Arsenal might benefit from that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I don't think Thomas Partey should be kind of playing in that role.
Yeah, I kind of get what Arteta's trying to do just to gain an extra midfielder on in
Hmm.
attack, but uh, I'm not a huge fan of Jorginho, dude.
I'm
And
not
you just
either.
just put Thomas Partey there, and then Ben White can do the overlapping, and then Timber, he's athletic enough to last the full 90, kind of playing all over the pitch, and
Mhm.
you could try to stick him because he's technically gifted to step into the midfield as well.
For sure. Yeah, he's kind of like that utility player. So.
Hmm. But I wonder if that first goal, it was on Kivior's side. Kivior and Timber kind of got split open.
Mhm.
I wonder if Gabriel was there, that goal would have been prevented in the first half.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, I wonder how much longer Gabriel's out for. Um,
Yeah, him and Cal Fury. I think Gabriel is should be back anytime soon. Same with Cal Fury. But I mean, we said like, Arsenal, why are they signing Calafiori? Why are they signing this stuff? Like they have so many defenders already, like a top defensive people. Like now it's like, man, they need some defenders.
yeah, Tomiyasu's still missing. He's versatile
Hmm.
back there. Yeah, but still, I
Zinchenko
don't know.
got
They could
hurt.
have. I feel like they still could have spent it a bit more wisely because Califury wasn't cheap. Um,
Yeah, that's true. It
he's a
is
great
pretty
player,
sad.
but yeah, but he's not. He was not cheap.
It is sad they have no offensive kind of people to grab goals and stuff and grab the game or scruff the neck.
Hmm.
Uh, considering how much they've spent for guys like Sterling, Havertz, Trossard.
I feel like Sterling hasn't even really got a sniff at the.
No, dude. He's played in the Champions League a little, but still,
Mhm.
I haven't really seen him in the Premier League.
Yeah. If you do want to talk about guys grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, we can move on to your boys Chelsea. 'Cause there's a man on Chelsea who can definitely do that.
Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer.
Cold.
Um, Cole Palmer. So just a quick rundown, and then we can just talk about this game. Uh, Tottenham went up early in the first 10 minutes, 2-0. And then Sancho kind of he went on this kind of solo run. He beat Poro, cut inside, nice strike to grab a goal. And then Palmer, and then second half, Palmer scored a penalty, kind of in the 60th minute. Uh, Endo Fernandez uh, had a goal, which I think Palmer needs some praise for his dribbling abilities there.
Oh,
Kind of
100%.
got kind of got lucky with the deflection, but still he had Udogie uh, going in circles playing duck duck goose. He had uh, what's his name? Van der Ven kind of uh, trying not to fall, and then got kind of lucky, but ends a nice finish.
That divorce is working out, man.
Again,
Crazy.
yeah.
Telling
And
y'all, if y'all need to improve in your life, get a divorce. It will happen.
and then that's not my advice. It's Narvin talking. Um, and then Palmer had another penalty, just cool penalty. I mean, classic Palmer, just Panenka penalty.
Which the Spurs
And
fan deserved, having
oh, dude.
that little bit of embarrassment. We'll get into that too.
And then Sonny scored in the 96th minute. I was really frustrated by that because after our once we were 2-4 up, we should have seen that game out. But we kind of let Tottenham into the game. We were very lackadaisical and
Too relaxed.
too relaxed. I was relaxed. I laid down like I was like I was sitting up, kind of like straight back all the way up. Uh, I was stressing, and then once you scored that, I was like, oh, dude, 6 minutes till 90th minute, dude, I can lay down. I was relaxed, and that definitely fed into the team. Uh, but where do you want to start with this? Some of your
Uh,
takeaways.
I think first let's just get the elephant out the room, and talk about the Tottenham fans. That game was just very annoying to watch of how much stoppage, or not stoppage, but like how much of a delay there was throughout the game just because they were throwing stuff on the pitch. Um, I think there's got to be they'll get fined by the FA because that was just ridiculous.
Dude, if our goals, majority of them, like where we actually made the comeback, because I don't think this, because a celebration I wanted to see, which I think like would have been kind of lame if it was like a goal just to come back from a 2-1, 2-0 down, or even an equalizer. But if it was a goal to take the lead, uh, would have been one of our players grabbing it and wiping their ass with it. That would have
That'd
been
been
great.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it was
Uh,
funny, maybe the first time when they were throwing this. What they throwing? It was like the cardboard like thing they got before the game.
it was like these paper signs, but they like would roll them up and like throw.
Yeah, it was funny the first time because the ref got hit in the head, the sideline ref, and I was like, oh, that was hilarious. But then it kept happening in the corners, like delaying it, and I don't know how that first half stoppage was only 2 minutes. Like it took maybe like 5 minutes just cleaning up the field. And they constantly did that second half too. So like the fans were just no class.
And in the second half, they were throwing at Robert Sanchez the whole half too.
Yeah, exactly. So I was glad Cole Palmer kind of did that Panenka, and his celebration kind of like went up to Tottenham fans too and was like cupping his ears. I was like
Dude, that was great.
throwing the
But
flag,
yeah,
corner flag. I was like, yeah, just pour it on them fans.
dude, if we were playing on that end in the second half, I swear one of the players would have done the celebration. I was thinking that would have been elite.
Yeah, that'd have been
Like,
hilarious.
like what do we think of Tottenham, bro? Um,
But yeah, takeaways. I thought Tottenham's goals. That first goal, first and second goal was unlucky. Cucurella, you gotta figure out what cleats you gotta wear before the match starts, bro.
yeah, he threw them in the trash after the game.
Oh, for real?
No, actually, yeah,
Oh, for real? Oh,
yeah.
yeah. So for those listening, Cucurella, he first goal he kind of slipped and Tottenham capitalized, just getting a cross off, no left back, and then second goal, same thing. He was trying to play the ball, but then slips, and then Tottenham capitalized. But that first goal, it was a nice run by Solanke to kind of get in front of the defender to get the finish. Um, but then I think Cole
But
Palmer, he was he's just magical.
Yeah, I think you hit that spot on. Although Cucurella ultimately cost us the goal. It was very unlucky slipping, but yes, Solanke made a perfect run, kind of Cole Will lost track there. Um, but I think aside from both those goals were because Cucurella slipped. I mean, it's not like he played bad. It's just very unlucky that he slipped. Um, but Caicedo was getting cooked in the first half up until I think maybe the 25th minute. I remember vividly. he made this. It was a very strong tackle on Son, where he could have, if he didn't get the ball, he could have broken his legs. But the strong tackle, and Son was like went on the ground and kind of like looked at him and was not happy about it. Even the commentators pointed, but I think from there, Son was a little more hesitant with Caicedo, uh, which I really liked with Caicedo, like his mentality to kind of like tell Son like, yeah, I'm getting cooked, but I'm here um, to play. Like you can't just run around me now. Um, that got me super hyped. But I think things really changed after that. Um, it, it was like right after the Sancho goal as well. Uh, I think from there on, that tackle, I knew we were gonna like win. Like I didn't have any doubt. Um, I think from the aside from those two goals, and then 24th minute, like I thought we looked really good.
Yeah, I think Robert Sanchez also had a lot of iffy moments at times. I think that's a position where I've kind of said you guys need to upgrade on. But you mentioned you had a young backup keeper who's pretty good
Hmm.
with his feet. Um, and then Batty Shield, he kind of had a howler of a game. Um,
Yeah, that's someone I wanted to talk. He looked poor. Um, and
Even when he was playing on his preferred like left center back role, he looked poor even then.
yeah, exactly. We're definitely gonna miss Fafana. I know that's something I said we need to improve on that position, but uh Batty Shield, dude, which is crazy because he was one of our best center backs before his injury, and now he just kind of completely fell off. Um, he's really struggled to find form.
Hmm. But Lavia again, impressive. I don't know exactly why he got taken out at half. They said it was due to tactical reasons. Because he was a standout that first half.
Yeah, well, I think because I mean Caicedo's our key player, we have to keep him in, but I think we definitely needed a true right back in Gusto, so I think Lavia just happened to be kind of this
Sacrifice.
sacrificial lamb. So
Mm. Yeah, but Cole Palmer, that kid's special. Um, and like I feel like parts of the game he wasn't really in the game that much, but like with him, it's you can't switch off because he can create magic at like any moment.
hmm.
Um, like that goal you're kind of walking us through where he had the assist to Enzo Fernandez. I mean, he made Adogi look silly, Van de Ven look silly, got the assist, and then that Panenka PK, he was ultimately the one that drew it. Um,
Hmm.
but to the point of PKs, those were uh, two really silly PKs to give away, especially that second one.
Yeah, Sar. Palmer would have made him look silly though. He probably would have done some nutmeg or something.
Hmm.
Because he made Udogi look silly on that third goal. Um, Pedro Porro was an interesting one for this game.
I thought he had a good.
I thought he looked solid. But Sancho also, like they were kind of battling each other, but Sanchez had his moments where he quick feet and uh Sanchez looked really good in a Chelsea jersey. I'm really
You
excited
mean
for him.
Sancho?
Sancho, yeah.
Yeah, I
Sanchez
was
had a
just,
stinker.
Sanchez with his feet would be crazy. Yeah, Sancho. I feel like he needs these teams where like, because he's not one of those like that will beat you for pace. He needs one of those like 1-2s,
Hmm.
intricate passing, which you guys kind of do.
Yeah, he looked solid. Jackson, he was definitely quiet today. I thought he was gonna get subbed out a little earlier in the second half, especially Maresca's that type of manager where he's definitely not shy to take you out pretty quick, especially if things aren't working out. But yeah, just even his touches were a little off today. I was a little disappointed by his performance, but um, and he looked frustrated. But like the thing that I really appreciate is like he does not give up in terms of like closing the ball or um putting on the triggering the press and everything.
Um, yeah, so I think you guys are second now. Um,
Yep. Right now, 4 points behind Liverpool. Granted, they have one less game, but
okay. Yeah, like I said, the start of the season, like I didn't think you guys would be on fire like this. Just because I didn't know that a new manager would know his best 11 so
hmm
quickly. But now that he knows his best 11, seeing like the weapons that come off the bench too is just scary. Like Tom we're already kind of struggling, and then having to see like a threat like Madueke come on, João Felix come on, who impact games as well. That's just like and Kunku, they're like top quality players that'd be starting on any other team. So it's a scary project.
and it's impressive that we're able to perform so well away from home as well. Um, at home, we've actually kind of struggled uh, at times, and I think we're like towards the bottom half of the table with our home games, but away from home, I think we like thrive off kind of the pressure, I guess, or just that type of, I don't know, it's a different mentality. I feel like sometimes when we're away from home.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, we're top and clear, like away side, like how good we are, um, in terms of like expected goals and like points we've collected away from home. We've collected 19 away from home. Um, so I think that's like something good, like a positive for like strong teams is like being able to perform well away from home.
Hmm.
Um, and then I mean we're bagging goals, 35 goals so far, and I think the commentator said that was like right behind just Barca this year.
Yeah, all of Europe. Yeah, that's crazy. What are your I guess now if we flip it to the other side, because Tottenham's been beating like the teams that they aren't expected to beat, but then losing to the teams they're supposed to be beating. So this one could have been a tricky one for you guys, but obviously you guys got the win. Um, I guess what are your thoughts on maybe Ange, maybe his job security, kind of blown a 2-0 lead? Um, you think he's in
Mm.
trouble at all, or it's just classic Tottenham?
I think they've looked better um under Ange for sure, but it's just a matter of like when they have the lead, for some reason they're not able to like adjust and kind of see games out. They've dropped a lot of points from winning positions. Um, and they start games pretty well, but they just don't seem to be able to see games out. Um, and but I think Ange is a little disrespected by his own fans, like especially being booed and stuff. Um, because I think there's a clear identity with Tottenham, and like things just don't happen like completely overnight. This is still his it's technically his second season, but he's only managed for a year and like we haven't even reached half the season yet. But you can see there's been clear improvements with Tottenham. There's a clear identity. Players are bought into the team. So I think that's one where it's kind of unfair for him. Secondly, he's had to rotate his back line a ton, and that's not great. Um, there's a clear difference when Romero and Van de Ven are healthy and playing. Even Odogi and Poro has been in and out of the squad this year. But when it's those four guys, they definitely look like a more solid team in the back versus when uh, you have Davis coming in or Dragusin. Or Dragusin had a pretty good game against us today, but
Yeah, fair play to him.
yeah, still, I think it's a little unfair with Ange considering it's only been less than a year and a half.
Mhm.
But that's just something they have to learn, I think, over time. It's a pretty young team. I think it's the second youngest team in the Premier League.
Mhm.
We have the youngest. So that's just something that with maturity, they'll kind of learn to be able to see games out, not just be full pedal on the gas.
Yeah, for sure. And that'll come with his managerial experience too, just not being so. It's good to have the identity, but also knowing how to adjust, especially when you have that lead that you need to protect. So
Yeah, Europa League will be huge for them, uh, because just to see like how they end up doing in the Europa League. Um, because right now I think they're like top 10
Mhm.
in the Europa League. I'm not sure how many qualify, but I think they're like clear in. Um, but they've looked pretty good in the Europa League as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think this week there's a couple big Champions League matches. You guys have Conference League Thursday. Have fun traveling all the way to Kazakhstan. Um,
Oh yeah, dude, that was wild. I guess our flight's gonna be longer than if we were to fly to New York.
that's yeah, that's insane. Um, we got a match, Europa League match Thursday as well, and then next weekend, Premier League as well. So I think Wednesday we'll probably do a roundup of Champions League matches, and
Mhm.
then kind of talk about predictions for the weekend. Um, so with that, thank you all for listening to our
Oh, real quick, tomorrow we also have, as you would call it, the El Sackico, El
El
Sackico,
Sackico.
El Sackico.
Yeah.
Can't
Oh
forget about the El
yeah. Oh
Sackico.
yeah.
Who- Do you think there will be a sacking after this El Sackico?
I think if West Ham lose, Lopetegui has to get the sack.
Yeah, especially at West Ham Stadium,
Oh yeah.
London
And
Stadium.
prayers up to Mikel Antonio too. I know he's involved in a pretty serious car accident today.
Oh, did you see the
Um,
picture?
no, I didn't.
Dude, dude, he was saved by something because, dude, it looked bad. The pictures.
Jeez. I don't know if it's like a weather thing or what, because I know the weather was quite bad in a lot of parts of England, but prayers up to him. Hope for a quick, speedy recovery.
Do you think it's going to be a high scoring affair?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of mistakes as well. So hopefully Lopetegui goes because he's wasting a talented squad.
Agreed. But maybe with Antonio's injury, this will be full Krug's kind of time to step up,
He
forced
needs
to.
to, yeah, he needs to step up. He's been a
hmm
disappointment. So with that, thank you all for listening to our Premier League roundup. We'll catch you guys on Wednesday, but until then, peace out.